Hey guys, it's Brigitte with San Diego Seed Company, and today I want to give you an update on our fall starts. So 2 weeks ago, we shot a video where I was telling you how to start your starts. Well, now let's come take a look at what they look like. So you can see here, I've got my table of starts that we started 2 weeks ago, and you can see they are sprouting. They are very large, considering that it's only been 2 weeks. And I'm gonna tell you my tricks on how I got it this way and just some good information about fall seed starting. In that video, I had mentioned these trays and how much I love them. This is such an important piece of equipment for us on our farm. I was actually gone for a majority of those 2 weeks. So I was back home in Kansas, visiting some family. And these little trays made all the difference for me because they were able to hold water and ensure that they had moisture while I was gone. Now, let me not confuse you, because I did have someone who was watching these and kind of peeking at them, but it wasn't somebody who is a seed starter or gardener by trade. So they basically just were like, okay, they're not dead. And the rest was handled really by just allowing them to have moisture in this tray and not completely dry out. I really love that tip. And now some people might say, okay, well, if they're sitting in water for 2 weeks, wouldn't they rot? Really good point. The taproots on these guys are not long enough that they're sitting in water and suffocating. I've mentioned many times that starts can't sit in stagnant water for too long because they will drown. There's no oxygen. So it's not a way for you to, I wouldn't recommend doing that the whole life of the plant, but in the very beginning, when you're just trying to get them started, if you're getting them started in a really hot climate like we are in Southern California, making sure that they constantly have a water supply is number one, and these trays really help. So you can tell, proof is in the pudding, or in the starts in this case. We've got tons of stuff that is already sprouted and looks really good. I do want to show you some things that can happen that happens to everybody, not a big deal. This is a good example. We got this guy here. Oh, look at my cat. Are you kidding me? Seriously? We're trying to shoot a video and you're ruining my starts. Get off. Welcome to the farm. Man, it's crazy. We have an audience of beautiful black kitties. Okay, anyways. So, as I'd mentioned, water in the tray is a great idea. Now, I just got back from my trip. I haven't even had time to really deal with these guys. And I need to dump out the water that's sitting in these and separate them. And you can see what happens when they are kept too moist for too long. So you can see here, that is a telltale sign of dampening off. It basically looks like somebody went in and just squished the middle of the plants. And you can see that I barely touched it and it broke off. It looks really terrible in comparison to, say like this one here. Big difference. So too much water here. I need to dump these, which I will. Our days have actually been way cooler than I anticipated. I thought it would be a lot warmer. We've had some heat waves, but it's actually been oddly enough cool. So I have some work to be done here. Dumping the trays of water. I also did fertilize. So as soon as your plants have their first set of true leaves, which I'll show you, this is an example. Now this one is actually not doing well. You can tell again. It's barely attached. It looks like somebody came in and squished it, which means it's dampening off. But I want to show you what true leaves look like. So you have your first set of leaves here, which on brassicas look like cute little hearts. And then you have these set of leaves here. This looks like the crop that you're planting. This looks like cabbage. It is cabbage. At that point, I want to fertilize, which I did, and that allowed me to get starts that are this big and gorgeous. So fertilizing is essential. If you don't do it, your plants can really stall out. So that is something that I did here that has made a really big difference. The other thing that I want to point out is the reason why these have grown so big and so tall in such a short period of time is because I work to avoid the fall effect. Now, I know I've mentioned this a million times and I've been drilling it, but it's because it really does make a big difference. And if you can avoid the fall effect, it really will make or break your fall garden in some senses. And what does it mean? Well, our days are still relatively long, but they're getting shorter. And so if I were to wait and start these seeds in 2-3 weeks, the days are already so short that the plants are going to grow much slower. What I'm trying to do is capture our longer days so that the plants will get basically a head start and they will really outperform ones that you wait a lot later to plant. Let's say I waited and I planted these exact same ones in November. Well, they're gonna take quite a long time to get to this size because the days are a lot shorter, the sun is a lot lower in the horizon, and then we're gonna get a lot cooler, and so just the garden in general starts to stagnate and not do a lot. So really, I won't get much of a crop until almost, February, March, so on. These guys, I'm gonna have a crop in December, which is great. It's right around the time that I have lots of family here and we'll have lots of produce to eat, which is what I want, right? Just remember this, when you're starting fall seed crops in Southern California or any warm area, you want to start them when the weather is still warm, which I know is contrary to what you might think, because the days are longer and it's going to give it a jump start. If you wait to start these crops when it's actually cool, well then the days are shorter, they're really not going to grow very fast, and it's going to push you well into the next season. So this is how we're going to get crops to harvest in December and January when the days are already really slow, by giving them a jump start now. So one last thing here, another big pro tip, obviously fertilizing is huge, making sure they're not succumbing to dampening off, that's another big one. And then I cannot stress this enough. You can see I've got 2 here in one pot and then 1 in the other, and you can see that the 1 is almost twice the size of the 2. So either pull it out completely and thin it, or at this point you could actually break this apart and transplant this into 2 separate containers, and they'll end up growing a lot quicker than if you let them compete in this one tiny little pot. So I know it's hard because you're like, well, I have 2. But if you transplant them into their own pot, their own home, they're gonna grow a lot quicker. So big pro tip there. So if you haven't started your fall seeds, I really recommend it. A lot of people kind of, stop gardening in the fall and the winter, and that's a bummer because it's the best time to garden in Southern California and across the southern states. So we hope you get your garden started soon, and how should I wrap that up? But don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.